Whether you're dealing with things at the scope and level that we deal with here at My Car Shop, or in your own garage with one car and one project, we all come upon times where we just feel discouraged and we just want to give up, throw our hands up, turn out the lights, close the door, and just go back in the house and sit on the couch and watch YouTube and watch somebody else do something instead of doing something ourselves. I'm no different than you in that. And I want to talk about that today because it is Talk About It Tuesday. It's the last Talk About It Tuesday for the month of July. So don't go away. This is going to be interesting. I'm Mike. I'm your host, and this is My Car's Shop. Oh no, I've got another animal digging holes in my ceiling. I find that dealing with burnout is different than dealing with discouragement. Burnout can definitely lead you to feeling discouraged, but that's usually more of like, I'm just fatigued and I'm tired and I'm overdone and I just want to go sit in a corner and suck my thumb or something like that. But discouragement means more that you feel like you're just not making the progress that you want to make. And that's a reality here when you're taking the approach that we do here with the Little Bite philosophy. You know, we have 12 projects that we're working on here on the channel and here in the shop, and we only have 3 cars in here, and the rest of them are scattered around the property. And I was really getting myself discouraged last night as I was thinking about the fact that I still don't have the 47 Fat Fanny Ford on the road. I don't have the 69 Charger moving forward yet. I've got work I need to do, the scoops that I haven't done. The GTS, we did get the fuel line fixed, so at least it runs, but I don't have this car on the road, and I'm looking at the engine going, there's cleanup work that needs to be done here, and I'm just discouraged that I'm not making more progress and I'm not getting more things done. So in today's episode, I want to talk about solutions for that very thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to point at you. 2 things that I think help when you're using the Little Bite philosophy. Remember that you cannot possibly accomplish all of it. And you discourage yourself by looking at everything that you need to get done, whether it's on one project or 12 or 15 or 2 or 7, or it doesn't matter. And this just doesn't apply to car projects, but it actually applies to everything in life as far as I'm concerned. So the Little Bite philosophy, we look at things and we say, okay, what would be fun to do right now? In the mode that I'm in right now, nothing really sounds fun. So that's a challenge. But I start by looking at the projects and going, okay, what are the projects right now that are put on hold? If you have just one car, you can say, what are the projects on this project that I'm not doing right now? What are your rationale for that? So for example, we're not working on stitches much because that's a winter project. We do our fabricating in the winter. That was a boundary that I established around the projects in the shop because I can get out the nicer cars in the nicer weather to work on them and drive them and enjoy them. I might as well do that because I've only got about 3 or 4 months of that where I live. And then we got another 6, 7, 8, 9 months of tough sledding on the rest of the year. Another thing that I find helpful is just to take stock of what we actually have accomplished in the last week, the last month, the last year. Where were we a year ago? Where were we 2 years ago? Where were we 5 years ago on that project or on the things that we're working on or whatever? Looking back 5 years can be both an encouragement and a discouragement. For example, on the Fat Fanny Ford, I've not made the progress on that car that I want to. I wanted to be driving that car 10 years ago. Since I started getting back on it hot and heavy in 2020, still, it's 4 years later, and I'm still not where I want to be. I can grow discouraged about that. And I say, okay, back up. What have we actually accomplished on that project? How much closer is it now than it was? If we look back in early 2020, when I was out here working every single day because of the shutdown, that car didn't even have the front clip on it. The front fenders weren't painted. The front fenders weren't finished. We had coolant leaks on the engine we had to take care of. We had gas pedal issues that I fixed that I did wrong and I've got to do again, but that's a long story. There was brake issues. There was we didn't have a fuel tank in it. We were running out of a 1 gallon antifreeze jug of gas by my left foot inside the car. When I look at that now and I see where we've come with the front clip on, it's painted, the front grille is painted, the front bumper head is on, all the wiring is done. That wasn't in the car back then. The fuel cell in the trunk, yada, 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 yada. Man, we've come a long way, baby. So as I've been sitting here just feeling that discouragement, I had to take stock of what has been accomplished in the last just few weeks around the shop, because I certainly have been busy, even though I haven't been working on projects in the shop. And remember, the premise of this channel is it's not about the projects, it's about spending the day in the shop working on whatever I'm doing. I try to keep that content automotive related, but in the bigger picture, what have I been accomplishing, not just in the shop, but in life? Well, let's see. We did a kitchen tear out somewhere that we got all new kitchen cabinets for our house as a result. I helped my brother-in-law with a big, huge project on his house. We moved the machines, the mill and the new lathe here into the shop just last weekend, and we have our mill functioning now. Um, our lawnmower broke down 4 times in the last few weeks, and I finally got that fixed. There's an episode that I filmed and we released over on the Our Place Homestead channel on what I found to help other people who are struggling with the same problem and can't get to the bottom of why their belts keep breaking on the drive hydrostats. What else have we accomplished? Let's see. My dad was here and we did get a bunch of stuff done on the Oakland. We got the fuel system fixed on the GTS. Whew, I've gotten a lot done. It's no wonder I'm struggling in some ways, because there really has been a lot of just little bites that have been accomplished. Oh yeah, and somewhere in there I did a fabrication project on my Acorn grill to get that put back together again too. Wow, there's been a lot. Looking at that helps me understand, in some ways, I've been really pulled in a lot of directions, and I can start to see why I'm just struggling with that feeling lost. I've been pulled in so many directions, I don't know what direction to go next, and I think that's a key. Something else that I find very helpful to do is, like right now, I'm just sitting here in front of the GTS looking at rusty headers and dirty intake and damage from the fire extinguisher from when we had the fire, that this fender well never got cleaned. I did that one, but I didn't do this one. There's damage on the valve covers from the fire extinguisher, even though I cleaned it up. All that stuff, and I'm going, oh, there's so much to do. And yet, if I break that down into little bites, okay, let's pull the valve covers off and throw them on the polisher. That's a project we can do one day. If they don't clean up real well, what are some other options? We can get some carb spray and clean that intake up again. We can take time to go through and clean up just this inner fender well on this side. I did that one, but I didn't do this one. We can get that done. Those are little bite projects that I go, okay, those are doable. I'm looking at, 3-4 hours worth of work to do all of that. And of course, I think about the channel and think, okay, there's a few episodes of stuff we can share, and I can share that with you guys. All of a sudden, that becomes more doable, and we can move forward. Now, something else that I've been struggling with is I planned on working on the 69 Charger a lot this year. I haven't touched it. I've got to cut myself some grace and some slack in that as well. I am going to do on that car. I'm not comfortable bringing that car in here right now, so therefore I need to plan it when I'm going to be able to work on it outside in the shade, or at least partway in the shop. The car is a lot bigger than this one, not a lot, but it's enough bigger than this one, and the paint job is enough better than this one that I get leery of bringing it in here sometimes, so damage might happen. So I'm going to say in my mind, okay, the Charger, I know what I'm going to accomplish next. I'm going to get the vent wing windows in that car. That's the next project. I'm going to get the outside door handles on that car. That's the next project I'm going to tackle. Then after that, I want to get the windshield and the back glass in. Okay, once that's done, then we'll get the side glass in. Now, there's a lot of work there to do. But now all of a sudden, I can go over to my whiteboard and make a list, although that whiteboard is pretty full. Let's take you over there and we'll talk about that a little bit. Now, I made lists for Fat Fanny here. I've made a GTS list. I have a broken shock mount on that car I need to fix, but the fuel hose is done, so we can cross that off of our list if we can get that out of there. If that marker doesn't want to work real swell. But that's something we can cross off the list, is the fuel hose. We've done part of the top, but not all the top. I need to get wheel bearings for that. We need to do a brake light switch. We need to do wiring and brake lights on that car. This is on Fat Fanny. Master cylinder spacer. We don't need that. We fixed the brake problem. Bolt on the fenders and the running boards. That's partially done. I checked on the body mounts. We do need to do some work there. The fuel cell's not mounted. I need to remount the seats. I need to make door panels. I did add trans fluid, so we can cross that off. Making lists helps. It can be both overwhelming, but it can also be very helpful. So if I set up a list for the GTS, for example, on what we need to accomplish, and I set up another list for the Charger, that also helps me prioritize what needs to be done. List making can be a love-hate relationship for sure, because it helps you get a handle on everything that needs to be accomplished, but it can also be a discouragement because you see everything that needs to be accomplished. However, once I put it on a list, for me, it starts becoming more tangible and it makes it more manageable, and then I feel really good when I get to cross stuff off. Now, here's a cheat for you list makers like me. There's times I will accomplish something on a project that I didn't have on the list. You know what I do? I write it on the list just so I can draw a line through it, because it's still got that accomplished, and seeing that accomplishment gives me energy to accomplish more. Sometimes I will also just come out in the shop, turn on the television, connect my phone to it, and find something on YouTube to watch and just putter around the shop. I try to break things down into little bites, as we've talked about so many times, and I've got another Talk About It Tuesday episode coming on the approach to shop management, as far as we've talked a lot about organization, but it's more of a mindset versus viewing your shop maintenance as a project. So I want to talk about that soon too. But there are shop maintenance things that I will do as well while I've got something entertaining me, either some comedy, playing through my speaker system in here, or I rarely listen to music, but once in a while I might. A lot of times I'll listen to podcasts, or we'll flip on the TV and just watch something. If I'm out here, I can't help but see things that, oh, I can just take care of that real quick, and I can take care of that real quick. And before long, we've taken care of a whole bunch of stuff, as we saw in one of the shop organization episodes after we put the mill in and this place looked like a bomb went off. So the last thing I want to encourage you with is, if you're feeling discouraged, look at something you can do rather than look at everything you're not doing. I don't care if you go to your toolbox and take a rag and clean your wrenches. I don't care if you take a broom and sweep. Do something so that you know you accomplished something, that you moved forward on something, and that, sorry, I heard something like a critter in here, and that you can use to springboard for energy for something that you want to do by diving into a project. Remember that when you're overwhelmed, it's usually because you're overwhelming yourself. You've got a voice going on in your head, and you're telling yourself something, or you're telling yourself a lot of things. So I would encourage you to check yourself before you wreck yourself, and before you turn the lights out and just go in the house and watch TV. So that's to do it for this one. Drop your comments, drop your thoughts. I just want to help keep you moving forward on the stuff that you're doing. I want to be an encouragement. I'm not trying to be a ray of sunshine or anything like that. I'm trying to be real with you, with my own struggles and the things I'm dealing with. And even just talking to you guys about that, I feel a little boost in my discouragement that, you know what, I think I can cut myself some slack. We really have done a heck of a lot in the last few weeks. It just doesn't happen to be a lot on the specific projects at this time. All right, that'll do it. We'll catch you on the next one. And don't forget, it's important. Wow!